Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting reports direct. My sister-in-law posts every moment as it happens.
Something just happened? Something happened just now?
There was a fourth missile fall already in Petah Tikva. And now, whatever, a few fell. And right now, a missile fell in Bnei Brak.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In the middle of Purim. They have a difficult Purim this year. Well, let's learn.
Wow.
To help our brethren
Yeah.
and ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Page Tzadik Dalet. You know, I have to tell you, I was laying in the Megillah last night, and it's a different experience when you know this over here. When you say, that every neshama gets to stand in front of the king, and she has to dip herself for 6 months in Shem and Amor, which is a chokhmah of understanding Hashem, and Shisha Chadoshim Babsam, 6 months in absolute joy. And then the neshama is able to get in front of the king. And you understand what it means. It means, yeah, you know, if you're sad, you're not getting it. And when I opened up a sikha this morning, I was learning to listen to it on YouTube. The Rebbe Sikha Tavshin Chai, Purim Farbrengen Tavshin Chai. It's only audio, but you have like video pictures. But the Rebbe got real intoxicated. It was 5 hours worth or something. Or more, 8 hours, something. But it was intense, super intense. And the Rebbe's talking about being in a state of total simcha. That's the bottom line. How do you get there? By stopping to know yourself, stopping to be involved. Like it elevates you above your own ego. Very ridiculous. Okay. Veine. Kol mini aliyah, second column. V'iskarabus k'nes Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov. When the neshama rises and ascends on Shabbos and Yom Tov, what happens? Right? All that is called touching the tip, the head of the scepter. Right? Why is that? So, HaMelech is Hashem. And Esther came in front of the king twice to get inside. And each time, what does he handle? He gives her the Sharvit Hazahav. So she says, I can't go in. What does it mean I can't go in? It means, once you understood what we said about means when the Neshama is like, I want to stand in front of Hashem. But Hashem is unlimited. So how does a Neshama, which is limited, stand in front of Hashem who's unlimited? You're infinitely smaller. There is no way for you to find yourself a connection with Hashem, right? So no matter how much you connect, no matter how much you do, you're only touching Rosh HaSharvit. Maze Rosh HaSharvit. It means the Eibishter reveals himself somewhat in this world, right? So are you able to touch the actual thing or just a Rosh HaSharvit? I'm thinking, I was learning just before earlier, I was learning a Maimah with my daughter. We have a Chavrusa. So we learned the Maimah earlier. And the Nakuda there, just it's mamish touching the same point, unbelievable point. The Alter Rebbe says that nowadays you don't see Hashem. We're in Golus, in exile, you don't see Hashem revealed. Right? So he says, in case you think that means that you don't see Hashem at all, what it actually means is that you don't, once upon a time, you had to daven to Hashem and then Hashem would reveal himself to you. Nowadays, you don't need to daven. The revelation is right in front of you. In other words, so I was thinking about it, right? Look at the world today. Like what's happening in the world today is absolutely crazy. It's not normal. It isn't one iota normal, right? That the president of the United States is following the prime minister of Israel, that the president is a guy who doesn't care to do anything. The chance of having a president like this is 1 in a million. Like, what are the chances? And then he comes in and then he does the work and then Israel goes in and the smallest country in the world, those tiny little countries leading America, and they get together and they know all the things, who to hit when and how, every detail. If you don't see, like, and it's so natural, everything's natural. It all looks absolutely natural. So the Maimon there, he's saying that the godless of the Megillah of Esther is that everything happens in a way that you don't even notice that there's a miracle. Right? In other words, Hashem, you don't see Hashem, and in case you think Hashem is not there, he's more there than ever before. Isn't that an amazing point? He's absolutely more revealed than ever before. Oh, this is the Maimon. So Maimon's on a page before we were doing.
So what's the line that's drawn between when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is or isn't B'Shadei Teva?
If you see it revealed, he
No,
says,
I can't seeing it, but why would sometimes he have...
Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov, the Nevi'im, Moshe Rabbeinu. I mean, that's today's Tanya, really. They saw Hashem. You know what I mean? There was a revelation. That was pointing before him. Nowadays, we're stuck. We're in Galus. We don't see Hashem at all.
No, but so I'm saying, what would make HaKadosh Baruch Hu be a big Kaira the Yamsuf today? Why he doesn't do today what he's not B'Shadi the Teva. Everything is B'Seicha Teva. Why?
Right.
Why?
Because that's the greater miracle. The greater miracle is not that you manage to do things and it's miraculous. AI is not a miracle. Even though when I'm looking at him, he's crazy, nuts. But he can do that. But it's not a miracle. It's totally natural. In other words, yeah. I mean, sure.
No, that's not answering my question. I understand the things that are B'Seicha Teva and you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu there, but why wouldn't the HaKadosh Baruch Hu today, cause the Strait of Hormuz to go twice the width?
because Hashem wants a dira b'tachtonim. He wants the tachtonim to become a dira. That's how when he has to make a crazy miracle, that means it's not that the world didn't align itself with Hashem. So the craziest of all miracles is when the Gashmias, the simple world as you see it, Pashut aligns itself with Hashem. That's the most unbelievable miracle. Okay. So the whole story of Purim, right, is that nothing transpires. Saying that Maimer, he's saying it's such a wild vort, right? Va'anit filah. I hate to say it would have been the same line. I'm sorry to push party line or whatever, but if you look at the Rebbe, I don't think the Rebbe was ever like here as much as he is now.
Right.
Right. Agreed. And you know what you see it in the most amazing way? I don't know if you notice it, but who here has a kid in Eretz Yisrael? You have a kid in Baritz? Yeah, but Eichel, see, what he has a kid. I have a kid. I'm saying, are you worried?
No.
No.
Either is he.
What? Yeah. Whatever. It's the way it is. That's the Rebbe's world. That's the Rebbe's world. Let's not get to whatever. No war before. When I went to Israel in 1990, everyone was going outside. Everyone was leaving. Now it's like, yeah. What do you mean? Of course, that's what we do. What's the question, right? That it's not normal that they're in the middle of a war zone, and then Israel's making a Mivtach Chilutz right now. Have a rescue mission. Saw it?
No.
They're sending planes to rescue people. What does it mean, a rescue mission? People are stranded outside Israel to come back. That's what they're doing. They're calling their rescue mission. Funny. Anyway, so all this, that's what he's saying. When you have miracles, that means Hashem revealed himself to you. When you have Shabbat and Yom Tov regular, what is it? It's touching the Rosh HaSharvit, right? Because the Melech is Hashem, and Hashem gives you a revelation. So when Hashem gives you a Kriyat Yamsuf, that's Shmi Shel Pesach. Makas B'chayos, that's Pesach. Matan Torah, Sukkot is the Anani HaKovet. All the miracles he gives you, you're only touching the Rosh HaSharvit, right? That's not the Purim story yet. Why? Because what's the Sharvit? Sharvit HaZahav, what is it? The golden scepter, who I'm Shachas and say Baruch Hu, it's the revelation of the Or Ein Sof. It's the life force of all the worlds. He hands her the Sharvit HaZahav. And by the way, in this statement, in a backhanded way, you understand in the deeper story why Esther was afraid to go in front of Achashverosh. Because Esther's the neshama. Achashverosh is the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the neshama is like, what? I should experience a revelation of Hashem? Like, if Hashem is revealed, you don't exist. Like Nadav Avihu died in their quest to be connected to Hashem. So Esther says, Asher konish veisha, Asher avoy lamelech, Asher lo yikareh. If Hashem doesn't give you the right to get inside, Achas dosei lehomis, you're dead in a positive way, right? You can't exist. I wasn't called to the king. How am I supposed to come in? So he says, but you have to go on Mesiras Nefesh. So she goes, and what happens? So the king says, I'm going to give a little revelation. That's called the Tzimtzum, and then a little bit of a kav, if you understand what's going on there. Hashem gives life The life that Hashem gives is called Sharvit HaZahav. Ve'inai yechola lalot lirot ulekabel chayutam mikol hasharvit. She cannot receive the entire Sharvit, the entire revelation. Akasharvit tishar biyado. The scepter remains in his hand. Ve'rak ha'ara magia elea berosh hasharvit. Ve'ara zu b'china. So what does it mean to get a ha'ara? What does it mean to get a ray of light of Hashem? Hu b'chinat ha'ava hazah kerishvei esh. You get a fiery love of Hashem. It's a fiery love of burning gold. That's the gold is red, is burning. So what does it mean you get the katzei atachton? Katzei elyon means Hashem gives you Himself. It's mamish the same as Adam I was referencing, exactly the same nekuda, right? You see that if Hashem reveals Himself to you, you don't exist, right? If Hashem hides Himself and gives you only a little slither of Himself, that's sharvit, then you can exist. And what does that mean? What do you get from that?
Huh?
That's
That's a Shmini Sheminis?
No,
That little
I don't think so. No, I don't think that's Gaiva. I mean, maybe. Could be. I got to think about that. Maybe. I don't know. But when you get to a burning love of Hashem, you meditate on Hashem. Hashem surrounds and encompasses the world. That's the lower end. Interesting. Today's Tanya, putting out a video, so I had to wake up early to learn the Tanya. It was good and early in Purim. So in today's Tanya, what he says is that it's actually the opposite of Purim Bart. He says, right, a Jew has to reach Emunah. Okay, so Emunah means that there's nothing besides Hashem. If you get to Emunah, you're not afraid of anything. So the Rebbe in the Sikh I was listening to, the Top Shin Chai, he says, what does it mean to get to Emunah? Ad lo yada. Right? You don't have an answer. I don't know. I have not in das of Aruch Amanu Baruch Mordechai. Rather than das, I'm in a state of Emunah. So it's rise above das into Emunah. That's what it means. Okay, so good. So when a Jew experiences Emunah, when a Jew feels absolute Emunah in Hashem, right? And he's completely bound. So he says, in yesterday's Tanya, he says, if you live with Emunah, you live with happiness. Because what's Emunah? You notice Hashem is ever present in your life. Then you're always in a state of joy. So he's okay. In today's Tanya, he said, but what should I do about it? How do I live with it? Oh, that's halacha. When you learn Torah morning and evening, then you become a place, a home for the Shekhinah. So that's like this over here. The katzei tachton and katzei elyon. When Hashem reveals Himself to you, right?
That's like the Nevuah.
What?
Because we don't have the gather of Nevuah anyway. The only way to connect then is through Asa Keter. That's what basically you say.
Correct. What would be the upper end if you got that? It's if you would meditate on what Hashem is not as creator, but rather as He is. No thought can grasp Him. If you would see Hashem's greatness on His own, it's unlimited. So when you're touching the two scepters, the two sides of the scepter, the bottom side of the scepter is when you see and notice Hashem as creator, and you notice the things Hashem does as He manifests Himself in the world. The top side of the what's it called? Right, the opposite end. What is that? That's when you see Hashem. What?
Bittul.
Right, absolute revelation of the divine. When you mamish literally see Hashem completely revealed and with no blockage whatsoever. Right?
Interesting, Ellie. That's what we were just learning in Navi. The two sides of the swords. One was the pointy side. One was the shiny side. We just had that last nights ago in Navi.
Yeah.
In connection to what?
By Yechezkel, by the Nevuah that he said that the cherev on that's going to be drawn, one side's going to be sharp and the other one's going to be polished. But when it's polished, it loses its sharpness, so you could hold on to it. That's what he says about the Nevuah, about on the cherev that's going to come on you.
Yeah, sounds connected to Chassidus about the cherev. He named it Sheli Shlomo, right? Cherev piyot, shtei piyot.
Yeah. Okay, so we had that. Yeah.
Okay. פירוש זה לא שייך כלל לחקור ולהתבונן בגדולו איך הוא גודל מועיד המעולם אלא בשם הוויה ברוך הוא אומר למשוך אז החי לא אלוהיס. when you're meditating on the bottom end of the scepter, what are you seeing? The revelation of Hashem as he comes down to the world, right? When you go to him, nothing matters before him. There are no worlds in the first place. You're there before the world's created, you're there after the world's created. Everything's the same. There's no world. It's all bottled to Hashem. The whole thing is divine on its own. So there's no blockage. So again, you see that the two sides of the coin, the two ends of the scepter, are essentially a world which you have to reveal miracles and a world which functions naturally. Right? Okay, it says, God Hashem is great and very praised when in the city of our God, the mountain of his holiness, which means when do you see Hashem's greatness? When he expresses himself in the city. When Hashem reveals himself down in the city, which is the world, then you see the greatness of Hashem. Otherwise, you don't have any access to it. You can't see Hashem is great. Why? All the worlds, up and low, are nothing. The greatness of Hashem is his humility, which means
is the bottom half of the scepter.
Yes. What Hashem does is Vayeshev Hashem Melech Lo'ilam, right? The same as the Ma'amorim about the Amalek. We learned that Amalek says Ein Kisei Shalem. What would it be a Kisei Shalem? That the throne of Hashem, that Hashem reveals himself in our world. Vayeshev Hashem Melech Lo'ilam. V'zeu, right after you finish the Megillah, even on a non-Motzei Shabbos, you say Ve'ata Kadosh Yoshev Tilot Yisrael. What does that mean? Hashem is removed. How does Hashem come down? Through a Jew here recognizing Hashem. Again, to frame it, we're talking about the upper end of the scepter and the lower end of the scepter. So the first time round, Esther comes in front of Hashem and she says, I don't know, how can a Jew have a revelation of Hashem? Hashem says, I'll give you a revelation, a little end of the scepter, tip of the scepter. What does it mean? Shabbos and Yom Tov, a little bit of love of Hashem. You'll see a little bit of miracles, but all these wonderful things, but you're not seeing Hashem. Right? By the end of the Megillah, she's going to not touch the tip of the Sharvit. She's going to take the whole Sharvit. That's what he's getting to over here, that Hashem's greatness is only manifest in this world. The light of Hashem will be revealed in such an intensity. You'll see the absolute manifestation and revelation of Hashem, past, present, future in one moment. All flesh will behold. The physical eye will see. Hashem will be absolutely revealed. So this world will express Hashem in the ultimate way. I'm sorry,
what's going to happen? What's lovely?
The revelation of Hashem will be absolute in this world. What I'm saying is,
but we won't be bittul. How can it be absolute? We won't have bittul also lovely.
That's the chidush of Mashiach Titan leumat what was it? We're going back to the beginning before Chet Etzadas, right? Etzadas is Homa Haminois. We're going to go above the Etzadas into Emunah, above Das into Emunah. So if you're rising above Das, where are you going to? To a state of total elokus. Yeah, complete utter oneness with Hashem, absolute elokus. And if you're going to go back to the same place you were before, what was the point of that? Right? This is the Basi Legani question.
So you're saying this, but this we can't understand right now.
You cannot say you're going to go back to the same location because that would be back to square one.
But I'm saying, but we can't understand the concept of what's going to be la'aseh love relative to the fact that we won't be bittul to it. Now, in order for us to talk about the essence of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the true essence, you can't, because it's only when you're totally mevatel yourself. But you're telling me la'aseh love, you're going to be able to talk about the atzmus of the Kadosh Baruch Hu and not be mevatel yourself. That's a huge finish.
Yes, correct. If you learn the Sichos of Tafshin Nun Beis, the Rebbe Sichos of Nun Beis, you'll see him explaining this whole Nekuda. He shows you how he already saw then the world's aligned with Hashem. And it's a matter of us living up to it. In other words, what the world's waiting for is one simple thing, that the Jew recognizes it and lives it up and learns his maimer and sees the world that way and behaves that way. And when you do, the whole thing changes.
But can I make the whole shot of it now?
Yeah, absolutely. What, you don't see the whole shot of it now? I'm saying, yeah, look at that point I was saying before. Look, this is, I'm just reading, I'm just telling you out the way the Rebbe looks at the world from Tov Shin Nun Beis. It's the same thing. Just look at it. What just happened? President of the United States, greatest country in the world, most powerful empire, is following the lead. He doesn't have a reason to attack Iran himself. The argument is.
Don't say that loudly.
What?
The Democrats will hear you. You'll get in trouble.
Right. You see, the Democrats are the normal ones, by the way. I think it's and that's what the world is. That's where the world's holding. And yet, in the middle of all this whole liberalism, Hashem puts us this guy inside there, totally miraculously, follows the Prime Minister of Israel. What does he do? Leads us into that space, and then what? And then they happen to know exactly everything detail of what to do. They happen to know exactly where the guy is. Moment, right time, right moment. No one of us dies. No casualties. I mean, Baruch Hashem, minimal casualties, I should say. Everyone's in Olam Male. But and you think this is normal? Like, is there anything normal about what's happening? Say, you don't see it, of course. Like, this is Atzmus Mahus revealed. I think this.
You still see Teva over here. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want a nuclear Iran. America doesn't need that. It'll control the world. It's America has its own self-interest.
Yeah, that's the beauty.
No, you see. Did you see it? No, I'm saying you could still, just like Purim. If somebody wants to look at Purim, say it's a beautiful story, it's a good ending, it worked out nicely. Hashem is hidden in that story. I'm not sure you see Shavuot Hazav. You have to have the perspective to see it, to get there. You don't see it, Stamazer, Rabbi. You don't. I can easily look at this and say this is this was leading up to a boiling point.
Correct. That's why the Purim story is one. That's what he's saying. The Shavavita Zahav, the king goes the first time and gives us to the tip of the Sharvit. Tip of the Sharvit is all the miracles you're expecting. The tip is the Yomim Tovim. Right? When you see Yomim Tovim and it's amazing. Right now, it's just in a very natural way, you can actually explain all that. You just explain them.
You have to want to see it that way, Rabbi. You have to train
and
yourself. It's not like naturally, because the guy can easily look at this and say, "What are you talking about? This is." Yes, Iran is fanatics. Trump understands that fanatics having a nuclear missiles are dangerous. So you have to go in. It's not so much about Israel. It was Israel first, and then the rest. Just like Ukraine with Russia. At first Ukraine, then Europe thinks they're next. So you could explain it. You have to train yourself to say Hashem is here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I would.
The Maimon on the previous page. The Maimon on the previous page I was referencing earlier. That's what he says. He says that Esther's father and mother died. What does it mean? Her moiche and her midah is all gone. She doesn't understand nothing. So Mordechai says, Esther, let me explain to you. Hashem is absolutely in your life. He's absolute there. Right? And that's why Mordechai Yotze Melifnei HaMelech, he has to put on the clothing. So Lavush, Malchut, Cheled, says the Shas and the Shishas Dorim of Shas, and then Layudim Mois Arev Simcha, which means the whole thing is that a Jew needs to sit in that space and recognize it. There's an avodah here. We're still in Golus.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it happens without us doing that avodah to work on ourselves to see it. Once you see it, you start to see it. But if you don't want to see it, you can easily not see it. I mean, that's I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why the Purim story stays forever. Because at the end of days, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I mean, that was the point, right? Again, I'm just saying it's a simple example. This whole thing that you can, this new AI this week came out. I found out about this week. It's been already 3 weeks. But you know that AI can be your personal assistant. You can send your emails, you can send your WhatsApps, he can do your thing for you and communicate with people, make money for you and do whatever it is. I'm like, what? Yeah, he says whatever a human being can do, he can do. So is that natural? I mean, I'm not sure how it works, but it is natural, right? So if you see Mashiach in there, what are you seeing? You're seeing a world that's aligned with Hashem. Just totally not what you've ever have expected, right? But that's what the Rebbe's point was, but that's effort in the Eigen, because you got to open the eyes. Because if you don't open your eyes, if your eyes are closed, you don't see it, right? And that's, by the way, this point here. Ve'ata kadosh. Yoshev, what makes you not kadosh? What makes you come down? Tehilot Israel. When a Jew gets excited and starts to notice Hashem in the air. Anyway, so that's when Mashiach comes, it'll be like you'll see this without having to explain it to us, but it'll be you won't have the concealment that we have now. Okay, אבל also these guys are Hashem giri avotzum daim amshochas amshochas elokus yisborach v'atzmus ma'usim b'chinas ani Hashem lo yishanisi. You'll have a revelation of ani Hashem lo yishanisi. Haya ove v'yeh berega echad v'ra'u chol basar b'einei hasechel. The eyes of intellect will behold of a gashmi. Ki elokeinu yeh b'chinas zeh kanal. So that's what it means. You'll see, right? Ki elokeinu zeh kivinu lo. You'll see Hashem directly. Isgalu zeh, where will you see it? Yeh betachtoinim. Davko lemato. The whole point is not that you have to have a miracle, no miracles, and you just see Hashem. That's that then you'll see at that time will be told to Yisrael what you'll discover what Hashem was doing all along, right? And that's what the same with other Maimon that he says that Amalek had said in previous times you had to daven to Hashem. Today you don't daven to Hashem. He says, I need tefillah. I am one with Hashem. Or as the Cheskel says, "Va'ani b'toch hagolah." I am literally in the Golah with you. And that's what it says that Yochanan Kohen Gadol said. He was up. They used to say, "La ura lama tishan Hashem," and he said, "You can't say ura lama tishan Hashem. Hashem is not sleeping. Hashem is more present now than he was before in the Golas. But you have to see it here. The Malachim are tzaddikim. Where is Hashem? They used to say, where is Hashem? I don't know where he is. They will say, I see him in the earth. I see him in a Jew. This is what it means. A woman of valor is the crown of her husband, means when you have a revelation of Hashem, that's called the husband, the Baal. Because we are the wife and Hashem is the husband. In future times, we'll be at a much higher level. Therefore it says, Noflo, she fell down, Lotosif kum betulat Israel. I think almost every Maimer in Purim, he talks about this pasuk in Shiur. Nafla Lotosif kum betulat Israel. What does that mean? Like, you fell down, you'll never rise again. Ouch. He's saying no ouch there. It means shelo yeshayach lakim ba'aliyah. Ye or Hashem begili rav lemata davka. That's a total transformation of the pasuk. It says she fell down, she'll never rise again, the Virgin of Israel. Now the Rebbe is saying she fell down, she fell into a state where she's totally aligned with Hashem. She doesn't have to get up to find Hashem. Hashem is with her. How's that?
Yeah.
Because the darkness was transformed into light. It's not just iskafia. Iskafia means you have to work hard and you overcome the elements and the challenges. To subdue them. Like any other golos. Every other golos, you have to smite the mitzvah with their bechorim. Huge kings. No, you don't have to destroy them. They'll on their own do it. Isn't it crazy that in today's world, all the Arab countries over there are now fighting on the side of Israel? Really? Very natural. All natural. So he says, then I will transform the nations. They will call to Hashem Safa Brura in a crystal clear language.
I heard the Iranians protesting in America. They were saying thank you Trump, and then they said thank you Bibi. So yeah, it's really, these are Iranians. I mean, they're not Jews. So yeah, it's up.
Yeah. You never know though. It looks like the guys closest to the biggest Iranians running the show. It looks like it must be Mossad agents over there. So now all this, that's taking the whole entire scepter. Because what's the miracle of Purim? Did you kill the king? No, he was a wicked king. He was a bad king, and he changed his mind.
Oh,
The heart of Achashverosh is transformed into good. It's interesting how warfare is fought today by the free world. You don't fight warfare to win a war. You fight warfare to get the nation to change its power, right? To change the ideas. So you'll argue and you'll say, Akati Ad Achashverosh is bad. He's saying, no, it's not bad. It's actually super awesome. Look what happened. The same mouth who said, that do whatever you want with the people. Do with the Jews whatever's good. It's the dark transformed into light. And Hashem is revealed in the place of darkness, Dafka. That's the end of the paragraph. So, you know what's interesting? When I always wonder about this, when Esther tells Achashverosh, she says, this guy wants to kill me and my whole nation, right? So Achashverosh is shocked. He says, who's the one who wants to do this? And I'm sitting and wondering, I mean, you don't realize that it's you? Like, he wants to annihilate the nation. How difficult would it have been to put 2 and 2 together when she says annihilate a nation and she's a Jew? Right? I'm saying, not crazy. So he said, who, what are we talking about? Like the guy had no idea that he had just decided to annihilate the nation because the one doing the work was Haman. Achashverosh had just made a little decree and didn't even notice what he was doing. It was like so flippant, nonchalant what he did. And then he changed it over. The same Achashverosh who said to kill them, flips it over and says, no. That's called what's the story of Purim? That the world was functioning completely aligned with Hashem. And that's the most important lesson to learn in Golus, to get us through Golus. What we're doing through now is to see that Hashem is right there in your space. Okay, so let's regroup.
I think we don't realize when we're doing something wrong that could like teach us that Achashverosh was doing something wrong and he didn't even know that he's doing something wrong. Like not that he didn't say that.
What?
But who's bothering you? Like, who's doing it? So sometimes you're in the middle of doing something, you don't even know what I'm doing it. I'm not doing anything. You realize you're doing it.
To us, what do you mean you did? You decided to annihilate the nation. He didn't even notice they did. He was a big king. Yeah. Or didn't care. Yeah. So anyway, so going back, we said the pasuk is right that mizois oila min hamidbar. Who's coming out of the desert? That's the Jew coming out of the desert with smoke and
mist.
What's it called? The mist. And what that means is when a Jew looks, he's in the world and he discovers, oh my gosh, Hashem is mamish in front of me. Like this revelation, this crazy thing, and you suddenly see things in a new light. That's the wow. You just go, whoa, crazy, right? So you get out of your taivas, you do tshuva. The Jew gets out of his taivas and out of his shtuyot, because he's Hashem. And I gotta say, when I was listening to the Farbrengen this morning, I listened for like an hour of Tafshin Chai, an hour out of 8. You rise above. I to tell you, you're like, when you listen to the Farbrengen, the way the Rebbe talks about it, he just picks you up out of this world, and it's like a completely different madrega. It's just like it's revelation, and so that's what it means, right? That you get out of Ad Lo Yoda, you rise to Lo Yoda, and when you get to the Yoda, the Alter Rebbe said when the first time he came to Mizrich, so he said afterwards, I asked him, what did you learn? I think it was in Purim. He said, I learned that the Mizrich Magid changed my Yoda to Lo Yoda. Whatever I thought I knew, he made Lo Yoda. And then he changed the Lo Yoda to the real Yoda of Hashem. In other words, Hashem is, just a matter of us sitting down and kind of like discovering that. So the first part is the girl's trying to come in front of Hashem. That means an neshama says, I want a relationship with Hashem. So you have to build it. How do you build a relationship? But he said that you have to dip yourself 6 months in Shem and Amor, Shisha Chodashim B'Psomim, and then she gets in front of the king. And when you dip in the joy, when you're in a state of total joy, she comes in front of the king, but she can only touch the tip of the scepter when Hashem reveals himself to her. The goal is to get to a point where you just see Hashem reveal. How do you get there? So it's not, I think, Penny, it's not shot that it's a negative space. that we don't see Hashem. It's true. In the Purim story, you don't see Hashem, right? So the avoida is to notice that there where you don't see Hashem, he's not hiding, he's more present than ever. Right? And that's the work of Esther, who's the whole Megillah is that. Because the Naira comes in front of the king, and then you got to see that, oh yeah, that means you touch the whole scepter. I have Hashem right here. And what's missing is I don't see it. That's what it says. If you take a pair of tzitzit into Gan Eden, what's going to happen to Gan Eden? The Badicheva says, Gan Eden will explode. But if you bring a pair of tzitzis down here to this world, the guy looks at it, I'm too hot, it's too, it's wool, too much for me. But that's why it works, because you can say no, right? You can decide not to. That's because it's so powerful. Now, what you want to do is realize, oh my gosh, that is Elokus. So realizing that's Mashiach. Okay. Next paragraph. Shegam halachos eno betelis. Halachos will never disappear. Purim doesn't disappear, and halacha doesn't disappear.
What's the difference between when you say Ruach Kol Basar? Are they going to see it on the level of a Navi?
No, a Navi doesn't see what you're going to see, because a Navi, when he sees Hashem, he has to shed his external layer. In other words, he falls on the ground and he can't remain intact. Moshe Rabbeinu, it remains intact. Yeah, we'll all see Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what we're going to see.
Moshe Rabbeinu's level. Okay.
What daf are we in? I'm sorry.
Tzadik Dalet.
Tzadik Dalet. Okay.
Yeah.
Tzadik Dalet, second column, bottom.
Last paragraph.
We are in it. So this one, we did the long maimer on this one, right? At the gazelle. Al Pasuk, it says, Brach Dodi Udmelech Halitzvi. Run away, my beloved, and be compared to a deer. So now there we're learning about the deer with a crazy run. He's saying a little different voice. He says, Matzvi machziro shole achorav. What does the tzvi do? He turns his head around. You know, a tzvi is the only animal that can make a 180-degree turn. Turns his head 180 degrees. Now you know that Moshel, by human being, so he's saying it. Watch what he's going to do now. When a human being has a head on his shoulders, right? So what does he do? His head's where the brain is. So the brain follows whatever the head tells him. So if your head moves where you move, if my head is facing here, I'm looking at you now. So my brain's going to think about you. I turn my head this way, I'm thinking about the wall. So whatever the eyes see, that's the brain is going to follow, right? The brain follows the head. So the deer is the only animal that can turn around and see 180 degrees right back, right? So when you see right back, what does it mean? The front is the pani, the back is the achorai. Most people don't have the ability to turn their heads around and see what's behind them, right? They can't see what's behind them. That means you can't see Hashem in concealment.
So they say dafka an animal because an owl could do that. You think an animal, not a bird.
I'm not even saying it's the only animal.
What's that?
I'm not even saying the only animal. He's saying the deer
No,
does.
animal as opposed to you put or because an owl could.
He's saying that's what the deer does. He's not saying as opposed to the deer does. The deer can turn around 180 degrees. So Kakiv Yochel, spectacular mashal. What did Hashem do? He took his chachma, his being, and he put it in his achiraim. You want to know where you see God? In the 180-degree turn. He talks about animals. You're learning kochim. What are you learning? Animals. You talk about nezikin. What are you learning about? Money matters. It's all just like physical things. Next page 188. The pnimius of the Ratzin and the Chacham of Hashem, whatever, it's enclosed in them. The back end is right there. Hashem is right there in front of you. You know, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan says that he says like this: if you want to know what nothing is, I just dawned on me now. He has a mashal of how do you see nothing? He says if you could see what's behind your head, that's nothing. And I don't mean that you put your eyes behind your head. I mean if you can imagine, he does a meditation, right? You see in front. Imagine what you see behind your head. What do you see from there? If you could imagine that, you can't. That's nothing. Right? But I'm thinking now, deeper than that. If you turn behind your head, what are you going to see? Where do you see nothing? Gashmias. Physicality, materialism. You need to know that the materialism, which appears to be absolutely nothing, is itself Elokus.
So then you're telling that the Acharaim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Elokus?
Exactly.
So the
the
Yanika of the Klippas from the Acharaim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's Atmas?
Yeah. And
So
that's
but then you're not saying that it's Kabos L'Shad Kabos L'Kisva. You're not. That's not what you're saying. That's two different things.
All you need to do is remove the external facade. There's just a blockage. That's the kotel, the blockage between you and Hashem. How do you turn it around? Using your chachma, which is your intellect, and your bitul, and letting go, you'll see Hashem. Essentially, Hashem is right there in your life. That's the Purim story. When do you have to be mevarer things? Min be'ein mino, two different things. You don't have to be mevarer because it's simple. Min be'mino, you got to be mevarer. Kachal derech moshe. So by way of analogy, if a guy is a broker and he's brokering a donkey for an ox, you're a broker. You're selling a house. What are you doing? You sold the house. Nothing. But if you learn this halacha, what are you? You have atzmut mahut of Hashem revealed. If I learn the halacha of a machlif para b'chamor, I express and manifest Hashem. But if I'm a broker, what do? Nothing. B'chein katzav, a butcher.
What does that mean that you're switching up para b'chamor?
If you're a broker and you're brokering a deal, right? What are you doing? You're brokering a deal, you're trying to make money. You're nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing kedusha. But if you go learn the Gemara in Baba Metzia about that, right? So now you're you switch to one for the other. Now you're learning about Nalach, and now what do you have? You're learning Chesed Mishpat. You're learning Torah. Right? V'chein katzav. Hamitasek b'nituach ivarei b'eman tachim uvnei me'ayim hu katzav. If a guy's chopping up the animal, what is he? He's a butcher. That's what he is. You're learning all the halachas of how to divide it. Do this. Everything else in Shas, you're revealing Hashem. It always baffles me. In Judaism, you have to be a culinary expert. You have to know the difference. How do you make this food? How'd you make? What'd you put in? You put in the breadcrumbs first, or you put in the thing? Is the breadcrumbs designed for the taste, or it's only designed for the what's it called? You see a guy who learns a good maimer, and then he comes into the kitchen and he wants to understand how you make the sushi. Do you cook it or do you not? Pringles, are they cooked or are they not? Because he wants to know bishulakum pasakum. He wants to know the halachas of what's it called? Whatever, any little halacha that you have of it. You need to know every detail of it. I need to know how to make a bracha. What bracha is this? So I need a culinary expert. I need to know how my boiler works. I need to know how the restaurant works. I need to know how the electricity works. Every stupid detail of life you have to know. When you're learning at Stam, what are you doing? Stam. When you're learning it in Torah, what are you doing? Reveal Elokus. And that's what it means. The deer turns his head around and he sees Hashem in the world. And he sees Hashem right there. That's what it means. It's Zeo Medach HaKotlenos. Anyway, we'll finish it tomorrow for Shoshan Purim. But basically, Esther turns around and she sees Hashem in the Galut, and that's what it means. The Sharvita Zahav v'Chaya. She gets the full Sharvit, the full gamut of seeing Hashem.
Yeah, but what do you say about the Achurav? I don't understand that.
About what?
That the Achurav is the Atzmus. How does that stem with what you say about the Acharaim, the Kedusha, the Yanika, the Clipper? That sounds like they're mutually exclusive.
The goal of Acharaim is to do Iskafia and Ishapcha on it. When you do Iskafia and Ishapcha on it, it becomes holy.
Oh, so the Acharav is if you take the Acharaim and the Kedusha and you do the Ishapcha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.